Hello and welcome to Men Behind the Curtain, the podcast about everything and nothing all at once. I am Pitt.
I'm Eli. Hope y'all are having a great Father's Day for those of you who celebrate it, or no week pullout game. um, Real quick, I just want to point out I mentioned it a couple of episodes ago. This is the Rick and Morty shirt that I'm talking about, and as you can see, Rick is actively getting fucking plastered, and this is why I cannot wear this shirt to work.
I'd wear it anyway.
I probably could get away with it because I have a feeling that 90% of people would not even clock what is actually happening.
Oh, without a doubt, they're probably like, it's a cool shirt, man, and they'll just keep going.
Uh, Actually, you know what? I'm gonna run with that for just a hot second. I don't think I've told this story before, but so I came across a video on TikTok. This is like a month or so ago. This dude, he got the company card, and they told him to get coffee cups for the office. I guess they needed new mugs, and he got a bunch of Bad Dragon cups. Now, for those of you who've never seen it, the design, what they put on the coffee mug, is actually pretty neutral. However, if you know what Bad Dragon is, you're going to see the mug. So there were three camps of people. There were the people who knew what it was and were all in and having a great fucking time. There were the people who knew what it was and would not touch those mugs. And then there were the people who were just fucking clueless. Hey, cool mug.
uh, so, a lot of stuff happened this weekend. Uh,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, a lot of stuff. Well, we had, I just want to go on record saying this country has been rejecting kings since 1776. So, with that being said, um, beautiful turnout from across the entire country: Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Columbus, Cincinnati, just even, just all over, millions upon millions of people in comparison to the several thousand that were in DC for the taco tank parade. So,
Oh God, I love that because the crowd was so small. Like the bleachers, and these were not large bleachers. These were bleachers that you would see at a fucking high school football game. Well, actually, let me back that up because some high school places have like a whole stadium. We're talking about the high school football game that takes place like in the back of the school where they had to wheel some bleachers out and it has like four rows with those kind of bleachers and they were fucking empty. You heard the creak of the tanks over. Honestly, the crowd was dead silent.
I think there's like maybe 23 people applauding.
Yeah,
So,
he had planned for 200,000 people and got maybe 10.
yeah. And I don't know, I'm hearing different reports, like he spent like 100 million, he spent like 45 million. From my understanding, he originally spent 45 to 48 million. Um, that's been the number that's been popping up most. And I keep thinking, man, that's 48 million that could, you know, where was fucking Doge when this was put together? I mean, you want to talk about frivolous fucking spending, you know?
We, and that's the thing, and that's the hypocrisy that, like, I love it, but I don't love it, is we talk about how much that immigration allegedly takes away from people and like, oh, you're spending this money on illegals, and I hate that fucking term, when you could be giving it to vets. Now, first of all, let me back up for a second. I agree that we should be taking care of our vets. I 100% agree with that. However, we weren't doing that in the first fucking place. So if you're going to make the argument that, oh, you're putting vets over veterans, or I'm sorry, if you're putting immigrants over veterans, that argument only works if you were taking care of the vets in the first place. So if you're not, then it becomes a null and void argument. But coming back to your point, the 40, I think 48, I think was what number you just said. Hey, you
Yeah.
want to spend 48 million on the military? You could have put them up in a fucking house. Just saying.
Oh, absolutely. But Along with the No Kings protest yesterday, we had a lot of pride events taking place. I actually got to spend time in Columbus yesterday. Absolutely beautiful. Uh, love everybody there. It was great. Shout out to the Columbus Police Department for being very respectful and being very attentive, doing their job. I actually got a hug from a police officer. I went out with a sign that said, free dad hugs. And I actually got a sign from a cop or a hug from a cop. And you're going to love this. So I happen to be right on the corner of Vine and High Street in downtown Columbus in the Arena District.
All right.
By the way, beautiful area, absolutely beautiful area. Being built up and stuff like that. A lot of great stuff. Crossing this street was probably the most sinister dad of all time, Darth Vader. I see Vader walking across the street, and I just run across the street. The traffic was closed down. I didn't have to worry about getting hit or anything like that. And I'm just holding my sign right in front of Vader, and he's sitting there going like, doing the Vader symbols and stuff like that. And I swear I heard him go, "You rebel scum!" And at that moment, I put my sign down, and goes, "You need a hug." And he paused, and then he's like, "I used the Jedi mind trick on Darth Vader and got a hug. The Force is strong with this one."
Nice. Um, Actually, you know what? That brings up one talking point that we can talk about it later because it's one of your socials. I forget which one it is, or maybe it's your bio on TikTok. But you have something where it actually you label yourself as a gray Jedi, and you know what? That's actually a good talking point, but we can get to that in a little bit. Um, but no, I loved it. I saw a video on TikTok earlier. I think it was the LA one because they mentioned LA in the video description. Motherfucker showed up as Batman at the LA protests, and he even had a quote unquote Batmobile. Like it was one of those bigger. It's not necessarily a three-wheel motorcycle. It's bigger than that. You can actually sit in it, but it's not necessarily like it's not an ATV or nothing like that. I don't know what the fuck to call them, but I think you get like the kind of vehicle I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Um, like he's in one of those, which honestly, I'm like, that kind of does look like a mini version of the Tumbler, which is still one of probably my favorite version of the Batmobile, honestly. Like the Christian Bale Batmobile, the Tumbler was fucking amazing.
yeah. I actually I just saw, and I think it was on a TikTok. They were talking about the Nolan Batman Begins, and they were talking about the Tumbler itself, and they built like four working models, but one of them actually had the like the jet engine on it that was powered by like seven or eight propane tanks, just for the
Oh
effect.
shit.
But they're talking about, they got the scales and stuff like that. But when the tumbler actually comes through the waterfall and lands in the Batcave, they said that was
Yeah,
actually done. That was a real stunt with one of those tumblers.
nice. Yeah, I love them. I I honestly loved everything about that, even to the point in The Dark Knight when the Joker hit it with a rocket launcher and it was just fucked, and then he just the Bat Pod, which I always found it calling it a Bat Pod was weird, but I guess that's the canonical name. The motorcycle when he just ports it out, we're like, oh, that was fucking awesome. Um, I love that. Um, and
Speaking of the Bat
of
Cycle,
course,
that's one thing. That's one thing that disappointed me about the Bat Cycle that Robin used in the Batman Robin movie is they wanted to give it a little bit of beef, so they didn't use the actual motorcycle engines. They used some kind of like a Porsche, um, one of the race cars, like the Formula Ones or something like that. And it's like, really?
okay.
I'm pretty sure that motorcycle had more fucking beef in that engine running than that Porsche.
You know what? Let me look that up because I genuinely don't remember what he was on. So let me just Google that, and I'll go ahead and share my screen here in a second. See, Robin. We'll just say motorcycle. Now I know that there was a scene where he's just a regular like civilian getup, and he went out on his motorcycle. But let's see. Oh, oh, that. Oh, that was a bad motherfucker. Hang on. Yeah, so let me go ahead and share my screen. I It has been so long since I've seen it. I totally forgot about this. Now I know you're on your phone, so I don't know how well you can see it.
Oh, I
But
can see it pretty
yeah,
good.
so that one, yeah. That well, actually I take it's kind of cool, it's kind of not because like they went a little it is a little hokey. It is. But it does fit the motif of the movie. So,
Yeah, but what I'm saying though is there's a lot of bikes out there that have, killer beefed up engines to the point of where you didn't need to, you know,
I,
layer in.
honestly, he could haul ass in this.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, and actually what he had in the comics, like that's basically just a regular ass motorcycle. They did not have to do that at all. But no, and I've actually thought about going back and rewatching those movies. Just I know
Why?
like to a degree it's so the first two, the Keaton movies, I thought about going back and watching those just to see kind of how well they've aged. Um, I've seen bits here and there of Batman Returns, Willem DeVito and Michelle Pfeiffer, um, and it kind of holds up a little bit. I understand why the sponsors didn't like Batman Returns because what they did with Penguin is a little bit. It's not kid friendly. It's not good for selling merchandise and toys and shit. So I kind of understand that. Um, I mean, honestly, Michelle Pfeiffer as Catwoman is still pretty fucking good.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
Um, Honestly, probably the only other version of Catwoman that I think really captured the character at all was the kid from Gotham
Oh yeah,
because they very much captured her moral gray area. Like when she pushed a dude out the window and got him killed. She did murder the guy, but she was also right that he was about to kill them. She wasn't wrong.
so
And so I thought Gotham had a really good beat on her. I think Gotham as a TV show had a good beat on a lot of their villains. Robin Lord Taylor as Penguin was fucking incredible.
oh absolutely. I think out of every incarnation, Robin Lord Taylor is probably my favorite Penguin iteration.
Um, I was saying so. Obviously, if we're talking about physicality and appearance, Danny DeVito is the Penguin. Like there is no human being on this planet that looks like comic book Penguin better than Danny DeVito. And I don't think that anybody can really make an argument contrary to that. However, if we're just talking about good performance, good writing, good acting, Robert Lord Taylor is as good a Penguin as Heath Ledger is a Joker, and I cannot pay a higher compliment than that.
Absolutely. So
Um,
you were
and
saying
some of
you
their other,
go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go.
I was just going to say some of their other villains I thought were pretty decent. Of course, Enigma, Riddler. I really loved his arc as a character, um, and him being he was CSI, but I forget what he did specifically.
He was like
But
he was a forensic investigator or something like that.
it fits the character because if you're a forensic investigator, everything kind of is a riddle. You have to solve these puzzles. And he also knows how to confuse the police because he knows how they think. So honestly, his arc made perfect sense. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Now I was going to bring up. You said you had some Daredevil news.
Yes. So I don't remember where we last talked about this after our last episode, but so we have a couple of confirmations here. Jessica Ritter 100% has confirmed she is coming back for Jessica Jones in season two. Um, the niece, I believe, for White Tiger. What was her? I don't remember the character name. They have 100% confirmed that she will be the new White Tiger. It is not the same name as what we had in the comic books, but the comic notoriously was a woman, and it was Hector Ayala's niece or daughter, something like that. So we are actually getting closer to that. However, the part that I'm especially excited about, this is not confirmed. This is still technically rumor, but in, I believe, New York is where they're filming, naturally. Mike Coulter and Finn Jones have been spotted. Doesn't mean they're on set, but they have been seen around there. So that means that we are finally getting the proper defenders. And I could not be happier.
I thought Mike Coulter has already been confirmed.
If he has, it was after that last article that I found, which to
Okay.
be fair, that was earlier this month. So, um, and actually, hang on. So the article that I shared, I think they have a set photo of the new white tiger. So let me see if I can pull that up. Now, this was a picture that somebody had just kind of snapped. It was somebody on set. This is not an official release. This was something that, fans or media had gotten. And where is it? Oh, I know I've seen it. I'm waiting on. Okay, is not everything loading? God, this is. God damn it, this computer is good enough. This should not take that long. Let me just do a search here. White Tiger Season 2. Oh, here we go. Yeah, okay, that's a blurry photo. Let me try something else. Eh, that'll do. This is not a perfect picture, and this is actually looks more like the homemade hobo suit, kind of like what Peter has is originally as Spider-Man. But so this is what she's looking like. You can see the black and white, you can see the stripes on her little scarf that's covering her face. Um, I'll be honest though, like the guy that they had in season one, Hector Ayala, I actually really like what he was doing here.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, absolutely.
bro had white Timberlands. How do you even find that?
Those are special order.
Like, they would almost have to be. I've never ever seen white Tims before, but he had them. So apparently that is the only set photo that anybody has released. Is just when they're showing her. But yeah, so we're getting the new White Tiger, we're getting Jessica Jones, and we're like 90% definitely getting Luke Cage and Iron Fist. And I really hope that Iron Fist gets redeemed because I never had a problem with Finn Jones in the role, but he wasn't given the best material to work with. And of
Very
course,
true on
Frank
that. Yeah.
Castle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, God, John Barenthal is just, he's my Punisher. He's,
I, I really, really liked Tom Jane in the role, the one that with John Travolta. He was good, but and the other one that came out with, I believe it was Ray Stevenson, wasn't it? And he was the guy who played Balin Skull, I think.
yeah. Uh,
Which I didn't realize he was also Volstagg, by the way.
you didn't know that?
No, I didn't realize that. But yeah, I know he played Punisher in another movie. I never actually watched that Punisher. I was just the trailers never really got me. I wasn't interested. But when they announced John Bernthal, my mind immediately went to Shane, and I immediately knew that this was the perfect fucking casting choice.
He's phenomenal in the role.
Yeah. Um, this is one of those where over time you see certain roles get recast and this, that, and the other. Um, when I say that, I'm going to acknowledge, yes, that they are recasting for Harry Potter right now. Fuck you, Rowling, you're a cunt. um, but there are certain characters. Daniel Radcliffe will always be the definitive titular character. Um, uh, uh, fuck, Logan, Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman is not a comic accurate Wolverine, but he's probably going to be the Wolverine, like for all of us. Um, John Bernthal there is no better Punisher. Actually, you know what? A better example of what I'm saying would be like Batman. We've had so many live action ones. We've had fucking Adam West. We've had George Clooney, uh, Val Kilmer, Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, Ben Affleck. And that's not even talking about, Michael Conroy has voiced it. He even got to play a live action version on the CW. We have the kid from Gotham. I don't remember his name. There's been so many depictions that it's hard to pick a definitive Bruce Wayne Batman. Even though I will make the argument, honestly, Ben Affleck was better than he was given credit for. He really was.
I'll agree.
But it's hard to pick a definitive Batman. But Punisher, it's 100% Bernthal. Without it, there's Bernthal and then there's everyone else. Like
Yeah.
he just has it by a mile.
Well, that entire arc of like the Punisher, Daredevil, and the Defenders and stuff like that. I don't think you could have got a better casting. Charlie Cox is Daredevil, Matt Murdock. You know, absolutely phenomenal. I mean, he embodies that entire role of with the mask on and with the mask off. It's absolutely phenomenal. Although
Yeah,
Foggy deserved better.
he did. I am still holding out hope that maybe they find a way to bring him back and that maybe he faked his death or something like that. Because that does happen in the comics at some point. Um, and now we've got Bullseye's is out again, which that is an interesting dynamic. So we have to wait and see how that plays out. Um, I do like though, Bullseye does not really align with anyone. He is the actual textbook definition of a psychopath. And now he already hates Daredevil. We've established that. But now he also hates Kingpin. So now we have a rogue Bullseye, which is fucking Bullseye.
Bullseye just basically does what he fucking wants to do if you hire him for it. Doesn't give a
Yeah,
shit who it is.
yeah, that exactly. Um, the only so it is a little bit hokey, but I would like to see if they find a way to adapt the comic book costume with the fucking target right on his forehead. Um, what they did with Colin Farrell in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, eh, like that was kind of cool, I guess, but like that's also not practical because how the fuck do you do that? Like you'd have to brand or cut him, and then it's not going to work the same.
Yeah. Although his use of a toothpick on the airplane was remarkable.
I did love that, and honestly, the way that that old lady was just yammering, I'm kind of on his side.
So I do have a
But
cat's ass to see for today.
but yeah, so I oh yeah, shit. You know what? I'm glad you have that because I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah. So it's a single catastrophe, and I'm trying to find the cat's ass to pull it out of, but it's somewhere inside, and I could not locate it. But I do remember what it is because it came in via email. Uh, Somebody with the handle Nexus has sent it in. So
Okay.
and they brought it up, and this one is specifically more for you than it is for me. But
Okay.
if because this follow, and they may be a follow of yours, or they just might have tuned in and heard you talk about it, or they might see the title belt behind you. They want to know, if you were in the WWE, what would your entrance music be?
Oh, that's easy because we've actually mentioned this before. That Lincoln Park, burn it down. Because like I love first of all, I love Lincoln Park. Rest in peace, Chester Bennington. Never be another one like him. But no, I love it because the build up to the chorus is so fucking perfect. It would work so good as like the intro music, and then you walk out to the fucking chorus. Like that would just be perfect walkout music.
I'm probably gonna go with the one I used to use when I played the video game on the PlayStation. I think one year they had like my favorite band, Breaking Benjamin, happened to lend a couple songs to there, and uh, the song Polyamorous, just how it starts with the guitar and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden the swell comes in, builds, and I can just see the pyro going off, and coming down with like the whole whatever. So
Although I will say though, Edge's music, Metalingus from Alter Bridge, is fucking incredible for this purpose. Like they gave him the song before the album was even out. Um, and for a very long time, I only heard his version of the song. So when I actually listened to it and I heard the real version, and I see what happened is that they took the tail end of the song and moved it to the beginning for his walkout and intro, and it's perfect. But no, yeah, Linkin Park Burn It Down would 100% be mine. Um, and it would be so easy to slot in as walkout music. And honestly, that would be my music if I was in wrestling, if I was a UFC fighter, if I was a boxer. It works for any combat sport.
all right. Well, thank you, Nexus, for the suggestion and the
Uh,
question. And remember, if you have any
yeah.
catastrophes you would like to know, you can email us at menbehindcurtain@gmail.com, or you can leave them right here in the comments below.
I actually did have a couple that I wrote down and I forgot about. So I have a little notepad on my phone. So name name something from a movie or a TV show that like you just cannot help but cringe when you see it. Just any particular scene. And I have two, and they're actually both from The Office.
Wow, that's that's okay. Um, well, going back to a couple episodes ago, when with the Handmaid's Tale, when Joan doesn't run, when she just stands there, and given the final season, guess what she actually fucking does? She runs.
She learned.
She ran, and I think she told, and if I remember correctly, she told everybody to fucking run too, and but then it was in slow motion, so it still took fucking forever for her to get moving. But still, it's just that every time she has this opportunity to run, she just stands there looking bewildered, and it's like, just fucking go.
I can see that. And actually, when you mention that, I know one that I don't know that I would call it cringy, but I know it frustrated a lot of people. Is fucking Rickon on Game of Thrones. Like
Zigzag,
you,
zigzag.
like God damn it, why are you running in a straight line? But no, so the ones that I had, like I said, they're actually both from The Office. Every time that I see this scene, I just the first one is Kevin with that fucking chili. Every time I see that, like it just like but the other one is it's equally cringy, but for a very different reason, is Scott's Tots. Do you remember that one?
Oh my god.
Oh my god. That was so uncomfortable to watch. And then he tries to make it up to them. I got everybody laptop batteries. Like, you motherfucker.
Oh yeah, I definitely understand the chili one. It's like, oh yeah.
And honestly, if I wanted to go back and think about it more, there's probably plenty, especially that involve Dwight. Um, but yeah, though also somebody pointed something out. I think it was a Facebook reel or something like that. Once you actually catch the way that John Krasinski pronounces his name, you'll never hear it differently. He doesn't say Dwight. He says Dwight. I never caught that, but once you hear it, that's just how he says it. That's how he pronounces it. And I can't unhear that shit now.
I wonder if that was something that they put into the character development to mispronounce it, or if that's just how Krasinski pronounces Dwight.
I mean, it also could be. Honestly, I would believe either because like it seems like Jim's almost entire existence is fucking with Dwight. So I could believe either of those.
Like
I know my
like the
wife.
Holy Grail episode.
Oh God, and he wasn't even there for that one, was he? I think he was in
No.
Philly,
Yeah.
and Pam just told him it was happening. um, and it's funny. My wife has pointed out when you look at the show objectively, when you remove any character bias, Jim is a dick.
A little
He
bit.
really
A
is.
little bit.
Like, I'm not gonna say like Dwight was kind of an asshole. Like, there are some things that maybe he deserved, but like Jim was definitely an instrument in that. Like, he made it worse, like whether he meant to or not. And like the snowball scene.
Oh
Honestly,
yes.
Jim opened that door. He started that shit, and then Dwight finished it. Um, I'm
What
trying
else
to
you got
think.
on that notepad?
I had another one that where I don't remember what I was thinking about with it, but basically just a movie soundtrack, just a particular song that is like just 100% perfect for that song. I remember I said something about this one time, and somebody gave me a mention of like in Iron Man, he plays Iron Man by I don't know, what was it fucking I don't know if it was
Black
AC/DC or
Sabbath.
Black Sabbath. Okay, yeah, they have a song called Iron Man.
I
So
know
they mentioned like,
it's white music, so I understand your confusion.
look, well, especially rock that old. There's only a few that I actually recognize. AC/DC, everybody knows it because nobody has that voice.
Fair enough.
But but yeah, I was trying to think on that, and there's only really one song. There's one off the top of my head that I could really think of. There's plenty that are like perfect for it. But one that I actually thought of, um, have you ever seen the movie The Bucket List with Morgan Freeman? I don't know if Jack Nicholson's in that one or not.
It sounds I probably have. I just probably don't remember it.
John Mayer actually had a song on that. It's called "Say." Like literally, the chorus just keeps saying "Say what you need to say," and the whole thing is the music video is for the movie, and he just kind of keeps showing them. If you've never seen it, it's called The Bucket List. They die. They both had, terminal illnesses. Probably both of them had cancer. I'm not sure, but like the music video just kind of shows them like throughout their journey and just all the things that they're trying to experience before they die. So that's one where I felt like the song was kind of perfect for it. But there was something else, and I can't remember what it was. But that was kind of that was the kind of thing that was like on my head when I jotted that down. I should probably take more notes.
Yeah, it's helpful. No, well, I mean, if we're gonna sit there and talk about like, perfect, you know, songs, like, uh, I've got two. Uh, First one is actually a composition. The Battle of Pelennor Field, when doing the Rite of Rohirrim as they charge in, how the music is a little bit more somber and melodic, to kind of capture that and just the timing of when everything came in, it was absolutely beautiful. And then the music cuts to like the sounds of the battle, you know,
Yeah,
absolutely beautifully scored, beautifully edited, um, absolutely one of my favorites. And just because it's actually part of the plot, Lustra and Scotty doesn't know in Eurotrip.
okay. Um, and actually,
Especially with Matt Damon coming out as the front man. It's just
that was so random.
fucking great. And then the songs throughout the entire fucking movie in different genres and shit like that.
Um, no, I actually just remembered the other one that I had in mind. And me and my wife have both had this gripe. This has pissed me off ever since the movie came out because it's on the soundtrack, but they never, ever, ever use it in the fucking song. Spider Man, Hero. It was a perfect song for that movie. And not even during the end credits, they never play that fucking song.
Well, okay, story time. So when uh, Josie Scott, lead vocalist of Saliva, because he did the duet with Chad Kroeger of Nickelback, right?
Right.
So they did that song, and then Saliva's going in to record their sophomore album. Josie Scott was kicked out of the studio and told to come back when he grew a set of balls again because
God.
they said his what writing got so soft and everything because of the compilation with Chad Kroeger.
That's a little extreme. Like,
So, hey, this is what I heard from being in the industry. So, whether it's factual or not is up for debate, and I'm pretty sure Saliva, Chad Kroeger, Nickelback, and Josie Scott would probably all deny it, but this is what I've heard from multiple sources in the industry. And this is over 20 years ago, so I'm letting it out of the bag now.
it's actually funny you mentioned that because you kind of reminded me of another story, unrelated, but I think it may have actually been Justin Timberlake of all people. So he was hanging out at a bar one time and he saw like Scott Stapp from Creed come in. First off, I've heard that Stapp has like a really ridiculously large ego, that his ego versus his level of success just does not match, allegedly. But so there's one time he came in, I think it was like Fred Durst and maybe one other guy, I forget who it was. But like when Scott Stapp approaches them, he like kind of, you kind of hit somebody on the back of the shoulder when you show up. Well, apparently
Yeah.
he hit him like hard as shit. And I don't know if it was Timberlake telling the story. I don't know who it was, but they're like, honestly, if he'd have hit me like that, I would have knocked his ass out. Which was really random, to the point where like I kind of believe that it was true, because who the fuck makes something like that up?
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of stories out there about Scott Stapp, whether they're true or not. I just wish that when they played live, you could understand the words that were coming out of his mouth.
I have heard there was one in particular, like he was like fucking plastered drunk, and like the audience was so pissed off because the performance was so bad. Um, the thing
Now,
that
not to,
has always really confused.
I was gonna say, not to take away from the other members of Creed, like Mark Tremonti, hands down, is probably one of the most underrated guitarists that is out there. He is absolutely phenomenal. He's doing stuff on the guitar that, yeah, is definitely going to be an influence to people down the line and just doing some great stuff. But
Oh yeah.
back to Stab.
One thing that's always confused me about him, and I don't even say this as a criticism, it's an observation. The very first time that I heard his speaking voice, and I'd heard their songs forever. I had their first three albums. I might still have it somewhere. I don't know. Um, his speaking voice and his singing voice does not sound like the same fucking guy at all. And I don't know how that happens. Like me and you, we've been to karaoke 100 fucking times. Like when you hear, like if you hear our singing voice versus our talking voice, you can be like, yeah, that's the same dude. But him, like, do you have like two voice boxes in there or some shit?
Well, technically speaking, yes.
Yeah.
There's an upper set of vocal cords and there's a lower set of vocal cords. There's actually some cantors in the Jewish faith that have actually trained to use both sets of vocal cords at the same time.
Um, I actually learned about that in the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose,
Hmm.
because there's a scene, actually like during her possession. They she's I don't remember if she was speaking in tongues or if it's just that they heard like multiple voices coming out of her. And then the prosecuting attorney is like, The reason you heard multiple voices coming out is because you do have two sets of vocal cords in here. And in her hysteria, quote unquote, she may have activated both of them. That's how I learned about that. Um, that's also how I learned, not to go off the beaten path here, but that's also how I learned the significance of 3:15 a.m. because and like the whole witching hour thing. And which is actually the one thing that I will say that Amityville. I realize that Amityville has been debunked, hoax and all that, but that's actually one thing where if you read Jay Anson's book, not the movie, if you read Jay Anson's book, um, it makes it sound more demonic than an actual haunting. There are several signs to that, but one of them is the fact that George Lutz, guy played by Ryan Reynolds in the last movie, he keeps waking up at 3:15 in the morning. Um, if you want to know what I'm talking about, just go watch the movie or even just Google it. Um, but yeah, I don't want to go too far down that rabbit hole because like I realize that we bounce all over the place, but that's another 20-30 minutes of conversation that I just don't want to do right now.
Well, I have been told we are very good for the ADHD brain.
I can believe that because again, I'm not diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure I'm somewhere in that ballpark, which actually explains a lot.
Actually, so that brings me up. There's a sign at Pride yesterday on one of the floats, and it says, "We are not diverse. We are on the spectrum."
I mean, not wrong. Speaking of which, I was kind of sad. Like, so on one of your videos yesterday, was you had a couple of dipshits, and when I jumped in, I was actually very disappointed that the guy had nothing to say to me because that was the guy who's like, "Oh, pride is the worst of the seven deadly sins," which
Yeah.
I'm not even 100% sure that they really say much about seven deadly sins in the Bible. So, like, honestly, I know about the seven deadly sins, but I don't even know if that's a biblical thing. But you know what? That's beside the point. But I'm like, how the fuck is you and your self righteousness? Isn't that a little bit prideful?
Yeah. Uh, and Kaz went back and she actually made a comment on there as well. I haven't got a chance to read it. But yeah. And my thing is like, you know what? My response was love is love, you
Yeah,
know. And it's like obviously he's trying to get a rise out of somebody. He's got nothing better to do but than to troll people that are happy and proud and in just enjoying who they are and proud to be who they are. To me, when you want to come into the whole seven deadly sins type thing, it's one of those things that it's like, you know what? There is nothing wrong with being proud of who you are. Not a single thing. I think when pride becomes a sin is when it becomes that entire inflated ego to the point of where it becomes your entire identity.
yeah,
So there's my 2 cents on it. And God willing, 937, go fuck yourself.
twice. I did see that, and it did look like a good time. And I also saw your shirt. It looked like a couple of people had signed it too,
Yeah.
because I thought I saw like Kaz on there. Well,
Yeah. So everybody that got hugs yesterday uh, was unfortunately not able to sign my shirt because the majority of them were actually part of the parade. So I, couldn't stop them to sign the shirt because they needed to keep flowing with everything and whatnot. And didn't want to be a disruption to anything. However, the bystanders, those that were in attendance, those were getting hugs. Um, they were signing my shirt, and I had asked them after the hug if they wouldn't mind. So shirts got about probably you know 30-40 signatures on it, and there were literally about 200 hugs given the entire day. I was running out into the parade giving people hugs in parade because they were like pointing, and it's like I got you.
okay, so that tells me you made that video really, really early in the day because I saw one here. I saw one like over on your shoulder. It was still mostly a white T-shirt. So if you had 20 or 30, that tells me that you made that video way early.
Oh yeah, I did that probably about 10 minutes. before the parade kicked off.
Okay, okay, I gotcha. But yeah, it looked like a good time yesterday. I know some of the other discords and everything that I'm in, the people seem to be having a good time. So I'm glad that that went well. And like I said, I don't know if I said this earlier in the video in the recording here or not, but I heard that the total, at least as of last night, the tally for protests was like 11 million people nationwide, which um holy shit, y'all. I'm impressed. And honestly, that's like one of those faith in humanity restored kind of moments.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we're turning the tables. New Star Trek: Stranger Worlds season 3 comes out July 19th, July 17th. Sorry, July 17th. Paramount Plus. Looks like we're gonna see a little bit more of the Gorn.
Now, this is the one that's quote unquote not canon, right?
No, that would be Discovery that they said
Oh
is
shit.
not canon, which is weird because that's how Strange New Worlds kind of came about.
All right, that's pretty poor planning on their part, but all right.
Well, I think it was it's one of those things that was easily to do. You know, you could have gave the whole reason for why Klingons look different in these movies and the show and stuff like that, with them messing around with human DNA, trying to infiltrate the Starfleet, stuff like that. Easily way to write it off and explain it to where it could have been acceptable, but no, they didn't go that route because they didn't have me in the writing room. But yeah, it's still canon, Strange New Worlds, but we're gonna see a lot of stuff. Like we're actually going to have Scotty, who was introduced at the end of season
Really?
2, is going to be making more appearances. And I can't remember the actor's name, but we're going to be seeing more of the guy who is portraying James Kirk.
All right, so when you say Scotty, are we talking about like Simon Pegg from the newer movies, or is this a
No,
new actor?
this is a completely new actor, a younger actor. I'd say he's probably in his mid 20s at best.
Okay, I might have. Okay, I I know that's another one of those that I wanted to check out. I just have not. There's just so much, and then we got Ironheart coming out next week, and I know I'm not going to watch that on time. Like I want to see it, but also Disney, fuck you for the way that you're marketing this show with Ironheart because they got way more fanfare for Daredevil. They've done more for the Acolyte. They've done so much more for some of these other shows. And then Ironheart, who we've already gotten an introduction to in Black Panther 2. They've done almost nothing to promote this show. And that pisses me off so bad. Um but
I'm
yeah,
actually I'm actually looking forward to it, minus the lack of marketing behind it.
so that's the only one thing. That's the only thing I will say is that I'm still looking forward to it. I am going to watch it. I just wish they did more to promote it. However, sometimes less is more. And what I mean by that is I am so tired of movies giving the whole fucking thing away for free. Um, the biggest culprit of that that I can really name was the second Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movie, the one with Jamie Foxx as Electro, because they gave the whole movie away for free. They show you Gwen Stacy falling. They even set up a plot line that didn't happen, where Harry was like, "Oh, Oscorp has been monitoring you," and that didn't even happen in the movie. Um, in the trailer, I remember the vat or whatever where you see Doc Ock's tentacles.
Mhm.
And then the closing shot when Spider-Man came back out of retirement and he's fighting Paul Giamatti as Rhino, which by the way, that was a weird fucking casting choice. Um, and he swings the fucking manhole cover at him. The closing shot of the movie made the fucking TV spots. That was a horrible marketing by Sony. They absolutely shit the bed on that.
So you're bringing up Harry in the Andrew Garfield. So from what I have heard, with the way Marvel's going with this whole expanded universe aspect, the multiverse, the actor who portrayed Harry Osborn from the Garfield Spider-Man is supposed to be reprising that role.
Ooh.
Uh, don't know if it's going to be in Doomsday or if it's going to be coming later in Secret Wars, but it is rumored. And I don't know if it has been signed or whatnot, but it's supposed to be coming back to reprise that role.
I would love that, honestly. The actor is Dane DeHaan, and part of the reason I remember him, he was also in that movie Chronicle, which honestly underrated movie. Um, but yeah, Dane DeHaan, I loved him as Green Goblin, so I would be more than happy to see him come back. I know one person when the movie came out, she didn't like the aesthetic to him as Green Goblin because he was, gross. I'm like, that's kind of the point, though.
Yeah.
So I honestly would love to see him come back. And there's a lot there that they could do with it. Like, we got a lot of the quote unquote greatest hits villains. Alfred Molina, fucking amazing. Um, Alfred Molina actually influenced the character design in the comics. So Molina has a light sensitivity, so that's why he wore the sunglasses. But his version, his depiction was so popular, they started making him wear the sunglasses in the comic books too. Um, Willem Dafoe,
Yeah.
what can we say? um, and honestly, like with Spider-Man 3, so we're not going to talk about Topher Grace as Venom. We're not talking about that. Um,
I
honestly,
look, I'll be honest. I think Topher gets a bad rap, and I think it, and nothing against Sam Raimi, because Sam Raimi is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But I think Topher gets a bad rap because of what was written for Eddie Brock in that. Now, don't
he
get me
was
wrong.
Foreman.
Yeah, well, I love uh, uh, Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock at slash Venom, but I still think Topher gets a bad rap for that. Yes, he was coming off of that '70s show as Eric Foreman and stuff like that, but I think I think what the writers did was try to write that character more towards what they knew of Topher instead of allowing him to be free
Yeah.
and experiment with that.
So honestly, if you want to see a really, really good performance from Topher Grace, I had to look it up because it's been so long. There's a movie, Delirium, where he was released from a mental institution. He's medicated, and he's in this house all by himself. I think he might have inherited it. Yeah, his wealthy parents die. So he's in this big mansion by himself. And throughout the movie, you don't know if he's crazy or if the house is haunted. And it's a really good performance from him. And I'm going to tell it, no, I don't want to spoil too much. It's neither. It's neither. He's not going crazy and it's not haunted. It is something else entirely. But so that came out in 2018. I don't know what platforms it's on right now, but that was a fan fucking tastic performance from Topher Grace. Something I genuinely didn't know he could act that well. And I honestly love getting a surprise like that because and you see that a lot with comedic actors. We've talked about this before. Robin Williams was by far known for his comedic work, but if you look at him in a serious role, 1 Hour Photo, honestly, the therapist in Goodwill Hunting. Um, although funny thing is that the story in Goodwill Hunting, like his wife used to fart and she woke herself up one time, he made that up on the spot. And if you pay attention, you'll see the camera shake because the cameraman is laughing his ass off. Um, I've mentioned before, Ryan Reynolds actually has a really good serious performance in this movie, Buried. Um, and if I really think about it, there's a hell, Jamie Foxx. Jamie Foxx is known for, being a comedian, but he won an Oscar for Ray. He had another one. He deserved an Oscar for The Soloist. Like he plays a celloist, I believe it is, and the character is he was homeless. He may have been, I might have been schizophrenic. I'm not sure what his actual condition was, but his performance was fucking amazing. So I'm not saying Topher Grace is as good an actor as Jamie Foxx. I'm not saying that. But it follows the same trend where a comedic actor, when you give him a serious role, will surprise you sometimes.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's even like with Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey has come over and done some excellent serious roles that just blew me out of the water. It's like, whoa. I mean, and you can even go back as far as saying Michael Keaton. You know, Michael Keaton, started off as more of a comedic type actor with like, movies like Gung Ho and things of that nature, to where he comes out, basically, Batman, and then he's also doing other shows or other movies that, he's playing more serious roles. What was that? Was it the Jackie Brown movie? I can't remember the
Uh,
name.
I
I think it was Jackie Brown, but he played like an FBI agent.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, actually, his comedic roles, like Beetlejuice, because I think he was fresh off of Beetlejuice at the time, is why he almost didn't play Batman because they weren't sure that he could deliver on that.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michael Keaton is another good example. Yeah, Jim Carrey's another good one. And like his performance in the number 23, say what you will about the movie itself is but his performance in the movie is really fucking good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could probably try to think of a few more, but I also do see that we're running out of time here. So,
Absolutely. Tends to
but
happen a lot.
that's I'm actually kind of glad to hear that we might actually be really good for an ADHD brain because you know what? That tracks, honestly.
Well, I mean, if I wasn't here to reel you in, the podcast would probably be about 3 or 4 hours.
You might be right. And with that, I would have to make a shit ton of cuts. Like this episode is going to be just this rant, and then this rant.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in. This is about all the time we have for today. Uh, Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Send us an email, menbehindcurtain@gmail.com, and hit us up on the socials.
Yep. Again, we do want to try to get those numbers up on Facebook so we can try to go live over there. Also, I found out that we can go live on our TikTok account. So we may start doing that the next time that we are filming in person. Because I have two phones. I have my regular one, and then I have my old one that mostly I use for gaming, but I can cut my hotspot on and I can still shoot from that. So
It's
that's something
porn.
else
He
you can look
uses it for porn.
that nobody will buy. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Pride Month. Hope you guys had a good Father's Day weekend, and continue to go out there and make bigots uncomfortable.
Absolutely. Down with the Al Qaeda.
One of my favorite ones was Hassan Minaj. She called it crisis.
All right,
Y'all have a
everybody.
good one.
Be you.